We've got new handhelds, new GPUs, new broken records, and some broken hearts from those working in the gaming industry.
Hi, I'm contractually obligated to tell you by blood pact that I'm not Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh, and I'm confused. Why do I have to go to work and fucking robots get to make art?
Hi, I'm Nick, and this is Video Game Tango.
Okay, yeah! Woo! Here we are.
Yeah!
Video Game Tango.
How is that a noise for when you start creaking like a house in Pennsylvania?
Because that's how I was opening, was making my eyes very wide and doing and
Oh,
getting
you're
away
gonna
from
tell
them.
me I'm gonna fucking open. You're gonna creak over here like a fucking split level.
Yeah!
I had a whole bit.
Oh, we'll do your
No,
bit.
you don't get to hear it.
Ah,
No.
Okay, well, fine.
No.
Hey, this is Video Game Tango.
Hello.
We're going to talk about hardware, games, news, and things. Yeah, we're back with Nick. He
I'm
is
here.
alive. We lied last week when we said he was dead because
I went to Jupiter.
honestly, Naughty Knight in our chat asked, "Where's Nick?" And I said, "He's dead." And we actually didn't I did that deadpan, and
That's amazing.
we never touched it.
Yeah,
So-
we never said anything else.
We never said anything. Yeah. So he is here. Look, he's alive. We brought him back.
Turns out the weather in Jupiter bad. Convergence, I believe, was the official label.
Convergence. Was it convergence?
It was that or Protestantism. I don't know.
Something like
one
that,
of the two.
Seems like it's bad.
There has been
Concordance.
critical developments in the Tetronimo space.
Tetronimo.
We're beaming the news directly into your brain. A 13-year-old child has beaten Tetris. And by beaten Tetris, I mean this happened a few weeks ago, but the problem is I was in Jupiter and I wasn't here to receive the news. Yeah, you heard me right. Tetris has been beaten. Like, officially, a human has performed to such a level that the game stopped working. We all know and love Tetris in our own individual ways. The game's been around 9,007 years. And up until very recently,
Not even communism could
8.
beat Tetris.
Yeah. Less than a decade ago, there was a limit. I believe it was level 29, where the speed of the game maxed out and the physical ability for a human to manipulate the controller was limited enough at the time that that was considered the maximum level. So the goal was to get there with the best score possible, getting as many Tetrises and the like. But as of the last few years, thanks to the help of many people in the scene that has reemerged and kind of regrown, new forms of playing the game have emerged. Hyper tapping and rolling, various physical trickeries that involve high levels of dexterous skill in using the controller to be able to play at these maximum speeds. Full plat, right? And because of that, level 29 is no longer the limit. The limit was, we don't know, how far can you play before the game runs out of memory, available space, before it starts rewriting its own code due to a lack of space to record its memory.
Yeah.
Right? Turns out it varies, but in this case, something like a level 150, 130, a 13-year-old kid going by the handle Blue Scooty, SCUTI, has managed to, after recently joining the Tetris competitive scene, practicing 20 hours a week with his parents' permission, has officially broken Tetris. It got to the point where the game crashed. Live on Twitch, he was followed hot on his heels by a few other people who've recently won the World Tetris Championships. And I'm so proud. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Like, someone out there, kid or not, now gets to say, yeah, I'm the guy who beat Tetris. Like, that's not a phrase that was even considerable 10 years ago.
Yeah.
This did happen back at the end of December. Again, Jupiter things. But it's worth mentioning because this is a pretty phenomenal moment in gaming history. This was, for a lot of people, the first real video game. And to see it after almost 30, 40 years of being out and being beaten, I'm so proud. I'm sending love and admiration through the internet to Blue Scooty. And I am happy to see where this goes next, because it doesn't necessarily mean the end of Tetris.
Right.
Where the game fails depends on a lot of things. And being what gamers are, we have actually mapped out, thanks to the help of some people in the scene, all the different possible ways that the game can fail due to memory problems, depending on when and where you get Tetrises, how you play your pieces. And I believe the next current goal, and this is still recent, so no one really knows, but the next current goal is to see how fast you can get to the kill screen, the official kill screen, or 2, how long you can stretch it out before the game fails. We're talking multiple hours of play at maximum speed Tetris. This is requiring a level of physical performance that you only really see in competitive sports. Like the constitution required to hyper roll their fingers in the way they do with every single piece after piece for hours on end is intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they don't tap the controls like you normally would on the front. No, instead they use the back of the controller. They use their other hand, and from sequence, starting with pinky, ring finger, middle finger, index finger, that is up to 4 status changes for a block, for reconfigurations of a block, and they tap it from the rear with holding their thumb. It's hard to visualize, but holding their thumb on the D-pad.
You picture if you had your pinky and ring finger wrapped around a spoon handle and your thumb over the spoon's like main piece, and then you rolled with your other hand the tips of your fingers on the back of the spoon, and you push the spoon head into your thumb. That's this technique they're using.
Yeah.
And they're having to do it a certain number of times depending on how far they want to move the piece. It's very impressive.
All while bringing the piece down as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it doesn't go any faster.
Yeah.
The game actually starts running out of preset color palettes for the pieces. So there's a few levels where the pieces are just like in grayscale and almost impossible to see because the code's starting to mess up. And that was one of the first hurdles they had to get over. There's a good video on this out there. I know if you've listened to this podcast, you probably watch speedrunning videos on YouTube or Twitch. Stuff is popular. So yeah, look it up. Blue Scooty, SCUTI. Some good content. And again, kudos. Good job.
Yeah, they're only 13 years old. Crazy.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
The next generation of speedrunners and gamers, man.
Right? With coming into the new year here, a carryover from last year that we were all kind of hoping would die down, but it doesn't seem like it's going to. If anything, it's picking up
Don't you
speed.
say his name.
Is layoffs. Okay. Now they want to call it right sizing, but every time I hear that word, it makes me so angry.
I throw up a little.
Yeah, exactly. I throw up a little bit in my mouth. Last year, the unofficial layoff numbers for 2023 are roughly 9,000 people in the gaming industry. That's across the entire industry. Developers, testers, QA, everybody, right?
Developers.
Everybody.
Developers.
Already in 2024, we're seeing that unfortunate trend beginning again with increased fervor. Archiact.
Spell it.
ARCHIACT. Archiact.
Sounds right.
Yeah, Archiact. Didn't sound right the first time I said it.
Because they chose a bad name.
Has hit the first round of video game layoffs. Now, we don't know how many people they're laying off, but they have announced that they are laying off people. Now, they did a Doom 3 VR port and have announced since that they're working with individuals to transition them in this tough time. The Bossa Studios is laying off 19 people already. Now, technically, this did happen in 2023, but the numbers and everything and how many were confirmed in January. So we're going to count it. The layoffs, of course, were mostly in QA studio, in the QA part of the studios, which with the amount of games that came out last year that desperately needed the attention of QA, that's a little bit scary to see. Unity Software, the big boy, coming out swinging already this year with 1,800 people laid off. I mean, that is that is Hasbro numbers, baby. That is professional.
Those are big numbers,
yeah,
baby.
exactly. Those are big time asshole numbers right there. On January 8th, 2024, Reuters reported that the first truly massive round of layoffs for the year, as Unity confirmed that it is planned to cut nearly 25% of its staff as part of a continued reset. Now, guys, we remember Unity from last year with their, again, Hasbro-like debacle of their announcing their licensing changes that went down like a Led Zeppelin. So Unity needs a reset, but they're not apparently doing it with any of the people that work there right now. Now, the last big one so far is, of course, our very own Twitch.
Wait, thought you were firing me.
No.
No, we can't. You're dead.
Nope.
That's true.
Now, just yesterday, Bloomberg reported that Twitch is preparing to lay off 500 employees by the end of January. Now you're thinking 500 Twitch? That sounds is that big? Is that a lot? It represents 35% of the company.
Wow.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. The Amazon video game streaming website previously laid off hundreds of employees last year, so it's apparently nothing new. Sorry, business daddy. Please don't punish us.
Just overhiring, I guess.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, a lot of this has to do with Satya Nadella, the previous CEO of Twitch. He had no presence at Twitch. He was not much of a leader. He overhired massively. Basically, he just, as soon as they sold to Amazon, he took Amazon money and he just went fucking nuts with it. Relatively irresponsible bloat at Twitch happened. And like Twitch staff have even talked about, like, there are certain parts of the team that massively need people, but there are certain parts of the team that are like severely overbloated, and people that are looking for work. People that are dissatisfied with their work because they have nothing to do. So sitting in a cube all day with like, you go to the boss like, hey, is there something that I could be doing? Gotcha. And to be told no, but stick around for the rest of your shift. That is something
that's the dream,
right? For some people,
until you get right sized,
right? Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, without any plans for like aggressive growth in the space, they hired just a shitload of people that they weren't ready for. So I'm not surprised to see this. I'm saddened to see this, but it doesn't come at any great surprise that Twitch is laying people off.
As of recording today, January 10th, 2024, in the year of our Lord, 2,319 people in the gaming industry have been laid off as of this.
In 2 weeks.
Yep. So off to a crazy start for right sizing this for 2024. All right, yeah, kicking it into high gear.
We need an office space too.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
No, it's baffling because this is a $180 billion industry, the largest in industry and entertainment.
More than movies, more than music.
Yeah, more than movies and music combined. Right? Yeah. Like it's the biggest entertainment industry, and to see that it's being mishandled so inappropriately, and now we're seeing, which we'll talk about later in just a little bit,
it's got too much money.
Well, and
they can afford to mishandle shit.
Well, and there's AI coming in too. AI is definitely going to be taking some of these jobs the longer it goes. So we'll see what 2024 brings us. Hopefully, we're just seeing that this is like a really hot spot, a really convenient time to lay people off, because I'm sure a lot of these places planned on laying people off previously, but didn't want to do it pre-holiday season or whatever.
There's one company that didn't give a fuck.
Well, sure. But yeah, they're just January is a time for layoffs, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll see it slow down.
Right sizing time of the year.
Right sizing is probably going to continue, unfortunately, in 2024.
What you got first, sir?
Well, I got handhelds. Let's talk about some handhelds some more. We've got another competitor in the handheld space.
It took every bit of physical restraint I had not to say this dick.
MSI has entered the game. So we have Valve started with the Steam Deck, obviously, and then immediately you got the Asus ROG Ally, or the ROG.
Thank you.
Of course, we got the Lenovo Legion Go, or the Lenovo, or and now we've got MSI, the Claw.
Missy Claw.
So yeah, it's the Missy Claw.
The Missy Claw. Yeah.
Miss Clippy.
It doesn't do anything terribly differently, except for instead of an AMD APU, they are using an Intel APU. We'll see. This is a brand new design made by Intel. Maybe more efficient, maybe more powerful. We have yet to see it in a practical application, such as handhelds yet. So the performance and the battery efficiency has yet to be seen, but it will be coming out soon. There's no official release date for it yet, just probably first quarter of the year. So we're only looking at another couple months before this comes out. They plan on having 3 device models from $699 to $799. That's likely mostly to do with just storage. The first one starts with 512 gigs, and we'll probably see a terabyte, and then we might see like an enhanced version for set for $800. So yeah, anywhere between $699 and $799 seems to kind of be the sweet spot with these handhelds. At $799, that's kind of the high end of these handhelds, but the Lenovo Legion Go definitely gets there. And there is competition in that space. Now, as far as what's it do differently, one thing it does differently is it actually not only comes with Windows 11 like the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go, it also can play Android games natively. So this processor is apparently able to play Android games natively.
Wow. I hope so. It's $800.
Sure, but I mean the other ones are Windows based, so they are doing some level of emulation if you're playing Android games. But that's fine. Get BlueStacks on your ROG Ally; it works just fine, great, right? This one does happen to play them natively. Like you can launch the Play Store and pick them up natively.
Oh boy.
That is something you can do. It is something different. Otherwise, you can expect probably exactly what you're getting out of the other handhelds for now. It comes with a nice OLED display. It's higher refresh rate. We don't have all of the specs for it yet. That'll come out in the next coming weeks probably. But yeah, MSI is joining the fray. So we have 3 major manufacturers coming in hot on the heels of Valve to make sure that they can enter this space and glean from it what they can. Now, let's talk about a little guy real quick. We've talked about them before. Ayaneo, Ayaneo. They've announced the Next-Lite. So they actually already have the Ayaneo Next. That's their current best handheld, their top-of-the-line handheld. Runs Windows 11, competitive with the ROG Ally, competitive with the Lenovo Legion Go, and etc. Except for the price point. It's $1,200. They haven't been able to match the price point of these other handhelds because they don't have the massive production facilities and access to equipment early, especially in large amounts in wholesale. So they're buying them at essentially non-vendor prices. They have to charge a premium for it because they don't have access to it like the big players do.
Okay.
However, they're building the Next-Lite with a little bit of an advantage. In this case, they will not have to pay for a Windows license because this is going to be the first non-Valve licensed handheld to run with SteamOS. So you can expect a Valve Steam Deck-like experience on a competitor's hardware. It looks like, and I want to say that I called it a few months ago. I thought very quickly that the expansion of Valve as far as SteamOS went was going to be in other manufacturers' handhelds, and it looks like SteamOS is going to be powering this little handheld. Now, that comes with a few advantages. It's not full-fledged, full-fat Windows 11. It doesn't require the specs that the ROG Ally and the Lenovo Legion Go and now the MSI Claw require, meaning that it can run with slightly lower specs, less heat, and probably expect a little bit better battery life. It's also going to be a little bit smaller. We have no actual size, but it looks like it's going to be about a 7-inch. They did say that it was going to be an 800p screen, so it's not going to require quite the horsepower that the Windows equivalents are going to be running. This might be a great little handheld in the future, as long as they can bring the price down significantly from what they've been charging so far.
I was going to say, 3 years ago, I bought my smartphone. It was $1,200.
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't they just put phones in these things?
That's
It would be extremely cheap.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay, yeah, you're holding a fucking massive brick up to your head, but like this is the price of a smartphone.
Yeah.
Like just
you're not
allow
wrong.
me to text people on it and call people on it. Like at this point, like is it a handheld console or is it just a big smartphone with a fancy graphics card?
Well, at this point, it's actually a handheld PC and a with that delivers
what a
the
smartphone is a handheld PC.
Yeah, but I mean, it's these are purpose built for it, right?
It's purpose built for gaming.
Yes, you're right. Purpose built for gaming. So you're right. You're sure they could throw phones in it. Why
But
not?
I guess now the question is like, if you can make a really nice quality gaming handheld PC for $1,200, why am I paying $1,200 for a phone that can't do that?
Well, I mean, I could definitely go into that if you'd like. I know some reasons. I don't know all reasons. I do know that adding SIM requires state or federal licensing. So enabling it to run on our modern carriers requires licensing per device. You would also have to, if you've ever opened up a smartphone, if you looked inside, now eSIM is another option. eSIM exists now. That is electronic SIM. So rather than having SIM cards that slot in, the SIM is blank in your phone and you fill that in through software. That is another alternative. So that could potentially drive down costs. I don't know the full details of that. But there is other hardware involved in smartphones that isn't in these, right? Especially considering like you look at a 6.7 OLED display, but the displays that we have on modern phones, they aren't 1080p and they are high refresh rate. Normally they're closer to something like 4K with high refresh rate. So the displays in these things are wildly expensive. In fact, they're the majority of the cost of the phone.
Are they better than these handhelds?
Yes, they are better than these handhelds.
Then why am I paying $1,200 for a handheld?
Because it can do things that this can't.
Exactly. So because they're playing games that you can't play on your phone.
Seems to me like there's a crossover there that they can fix.
Sure, there probably is. It would probably come at a relatively premium price, but I don't think you're wrong either. Like you make a good point. If you're going to be carrying this all the time, why wouldn't you want it to be used as a cell phone? Especially when you could use something like Bluetooth, right?
Yeah,
where you don't have to hold a monstrous
you would just
11-inch thing next to your head, right? Yeah. I imagine maybe with miniaturization of this kind of platform, we might see that crossover happen. I think right now this platform is too big. Like, would you want to hold this up to your head? You know,
if I paid $1,200 for it, and then I'd have to pay another $1,200 for a phone, I don't want to pay $3,000 for a Game Boy and a smartphone.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, again, it's
certainly feel better about holding it next to my head rather than my crotch, I guess.
My dick doesn't need to see 4K. It doesn't have enough.
But at the same time, these handhelds are like pushing. They're like some of them are playing AAA titles now at reasonable, with the hardware that they're running at like reasonable settings, and whereas smartphones don't. Like you can play Cyberpunk on these, right? They're mini PCs.
I like this. I like the handhelds. I particularly like the competition that we're starting to see because competition is good for consumers, and I am one of those.
Yeah.
So I like the competition in there. I also like the handheld market in general because it starts putting pressure on traditional PC manufacturing. I feel like if you're able to go and buy a handheld device that's able to play Cyberpunk, well, that's making these same guys want to step up the pricing to get other hardware out at a more affordable rate because there's still room to build that big gaming PC, which I definitely want to do another one. So competition in this market is excellent for this particular market, and it's going to lead to better pricing and better competition in the standard gaming sphere as well. Yeah. Well, the standard PC gaming sphere.
And it's a segment that is honestly like it plays AAA games at a cost that's between $500 and $800 for what's been coming out. Especially from the big vendors like Ayaneo, they're behind. They can't bring down the price as much as the big vendors, but hopefully with SteamOS and no licensing costs for Windows, they'll be able to bring that price down, and be competitive within the space. So, we're going to see probably the manufacturing cost of these things is going to go down as, they become more imitators. The The size of them is probably going to come down to, like, you know, I imagine most people are probably
size a selling point.
In some cases, yeah. But I mean, as far as miniaturization, not have, you know, some a device that doesn't weigh 5 pounds, right, in your hands. So miniaturization of the hardware so that they can make it lighter and sleeker. So I think all of that, like, we're just, this is a burgeoning segment. So, you know, I think it's only going to get better from here. And for the price point, I think it's excellent.
I don't think they're going to collapse by any means, but they are never going to reach a large scale audience until they can get their shit together. And what I mean by that is, like, I just looked up all the Nintendo consoles original sale price, like accounting for inflation up until like the DS2.
Yeah.
The vast majority of them would be between $100 and $200 in today's money. And you can look at the backlog of handheld games Nintendo's put out.
Wait, the consoles were $100?
Bangers. Every handheld Nintendo.
Oh, handheld, yes,
yeah. Like, it wasn't until the second DS that they started to get over $200 accounting for inflation. This is $1,200 for the ability to play your Steam games.
You're holding on to that number, and that's the wrong number. So right now they're selling anywhere between
You just said this was $1,200.
Well, what? So what I said was $1,200 was this small manufacturer, their flagship handheld, before we started seeing this market grow up.
Okay,
so right now we're looking at between $599 and $899. That's the segment.
Double the price of Nintendo handhelds.
You're right, but it is also 3 or 4 times more performant than the Nintendo Switch.
I don't care how performant it is. All I'm trying to say is that this is good and well and great, but this is going to be aimed purely at the people who can afford to drop a lot of money on a handheld console, and it's never going to compete with Nintendo.
Yeah.
If that's what if their goal is to like make this like a competing handheld platform, not going to happen until they can find a way to drop this down.
And I think that's what they're doing right now is like, as this hits mass market, I'm thinking that they're going to be able to bring down cost. They've already shown that they can.
We'll see. I mean, if they could bring down cost to match Nintendo, then Nintendo could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, but I also don't think they're necessarily in 100% competing markets either. You're talking about PC gaming handhelds versus a Nintendo console. Yeah. I will own both, you know? Like, and I think there are plenty of people that will.
I'm personally just finding it weird that, like, we have consoles that are cheap, and then we have smartphones, and then we have these things that are trying to bridge the gap, but aren't in the reasonable price range. Like, I understand they're as cheap as they can be while still making a profit, but I just don't see where this is going to go.
They're miniaturized PCs.
But that's not any different than what a smartphone is. A smartphone is a miniaturized
plays
PC.
Steam. This
is a smartphone with a better graphics card. And from what I believe you said earlier, a worse resolution than a smartphone. Yeah. So it's just a high performing graphics card in a smartphone lacking a smartphone's capabilities. For me, I'm not saying it's bad or wrong. I'm just saying it's a weird niche. It's a weird niche, and
it's a niche that's growing.
I don't see where it's going to go, because how are people going to afford to drop $800 to $1,000 on these things as they keep iterating and making new ones every few years, like they do with handhelds and phones? Like, that's a lot of money.
It is. You're right.
You could buy a PC for that much money.
Well, I mean, for $599, you're not buying a PC that's this performant.
Yeah, it's true. But you also get to do a lot of things that a handheld can't.
For sure. Yeah.
You know?
But these are choices that you're making in the space. Like, all of these do have their trade-offs.
Narrow focused device.
That said,
that is not going to reach broad, wide acceptance until they.
It already has, man. They're on store shelves. They are sold.
That doesn't mean anything. So fucking ShamWows on store shelves.
These are selling, man. Like enough that major manufacturers.
Next time we talk about this, look up the market share, and see what percentage they bring in as far as handheld consoles go. Because I'm sure it's probably well under 10%.
Maybe, but it's also not the segment that they're competing with. It's an alternative to a PC.
Okay. Cool.
That's all I'm saying. It's
Good luck to
it is an alternative. Yeah. This is absolutely a segment that could fail. It's a brand new one. This is like within 2 years, people could just be like over it. Like, this might just be in vogue, right? But right now we are seeing like massive growth in this space. Whether that's going to become oversaturated and people get over it, that's entirely possible, especially with how much you already have to spend today on the cell phone, the PC that you have at home that can do 4K, your PS5, your Nintendo Switch for its exclusives, and on top of that, buying a little PC that you can take on the go. That is a lot of money. Your arguments are all valid.
I'm just saying, I feel like they need to pick a lane. They need to either drop in price and become more like a console or have more features like a smartphone.
Okay.
Because right now they're almost as expensive as a smartphone without being a smartphone.
Yeah.
And they're better than a cheap handheld console, but double the price, if not triple. Right?
No,
it just
I
seems
see where
like
you're
a
coming
weird
from.
space to be in.
I think it's a weird space to be in, but I think it's a space that some people are happy that they're filling. Would be my
Yeah, because they got a shit ton of fucking money. Like this is not a thing that I think most people are going to be buying.
I mean, I know a lot of people that have the ROG
That's
Ally,
cool.
and
Again,
I know that's
look up
all
the market share.
Yeah. I will.
Yeah,
I'll put the work into it. But I think it's a segment that's going to be around for a while.
Overall, I still think it's a net positive because gaming laptops aren't a thing that are going away. Those have been around for a while, and miniaturization of this powerful of this good gaming tech getting smaller. Even if I don't buy an ROG Ally, it's still going to eventually.
And eventually, we're not going to have desktop PCs.
Yeah. It's
So
like
you give it 30, 50 years, everything's going to be handheld.
I mean,
why not?
It's exciting to. I don't know. I think it's just exciting to see the tech getting smaller and becoming more accessible.
No, I'll be excited where it goes. I think this is the first iteration of a new technology. Well, it's not even new technology; it's just the miniaturization of current technology, but it's a new form factor. And I'm interested to see where it goes, especially because you have major manufacturers that are pumping a lot of money into this segment right now.
Yeah, wish them luck.
Yeah, me too. I hope this is another alternative that you can have. If you don't feel like buying a new PC, you find yourself on the road more often, then these handhelds are awesome. Having played the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, and the Lenovo Legion Go, they are all fucking great pieces of hardware.
Do any of them have selling points over the Steam Deck?
You could argue that the ones running Windows 11, that could be either a positive or a negative for you. SteamOS is a really nice, mature operating system that allows you to play games. Windows 11 is Windows 11. You get to do whatever you do on Windows with this handheld. So it does have a lot more potential for doing things other than just pure gaming. Could be a little nice little very hackable device. But those are really the two distinctions, whether it runs SteamOS or Windows.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than that, there are some neat features that each one of them has that kind of separates them from each other. The Steam Deck being kind of the grandfather of these devices, I would say is like the base. It's where you start. And then you develop features from there. So ROG Ally has a better high resolution, higher refresh rate screen. Lenovo Legion Go has joysticks that detach from the sides. So they all do a little something different from one another. And there's reasons to buy any of them based on what genre of game you play the most. Arguably, the Lenovo Legion Go is probably best suited for first-person shooters because it effectively has a mouse. So yeah, there are reasons to choose between each handheld. Choosing which one is best for you is going to be kind of genre dependent on pricing as well. And depending on whether you want to be running something like SteamOS, which is its own kind of lockdown proprietary walled garden, very accessible, very easy to use, or if you'd like the familiarity of Windows and the accessibility that Windows brings to the table, yeah, there are those options.
All right.
Yeah. Anywhoozle, you've got a game to talk about with us, Nick.
I do. A game.
A game.
A game. Picture me this, Batman. It is 1947. The Olympic Peninsula has become a staging ground for a promising new technology. As rumors of its utopian creation spread, so did stories about overnight evacuations, unsolved disappearances, and unnatural encounters. Then in 1955, the government walled off a section of the peninsula to establish the Olympic Exclusion Zone. For 30 years, the zone's borders grew until the government itself withdrew and sealed every access point. What happened inside was never disclosed. Video Game Tango is now a true crime podcast. No. This is the opening to Pacific Drive, a game that I am very excited to describe to you, that we saw a trailer for a handful of months ago.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about it a few times now, yeah.
And the demos are now becoming available to a lot of YouTubers and streamers, and the game itself is coming out, I believe, next month. What is this game? The game itself is 1 part Jalopy, 1 part Stalker, 1 part Subnautica. You are a person who is attached to a supernatural car, an Ecto-1, in which you are stuck in this weird alternate history post-apocalyptic exclusion zone. Very roadside picnic-esque if you happen to be a reader. And it looks fantastic. We love the trailers. We love what we saw. One of my YouTubers I watch, Splattercat Gaming, we're watching his video now. Thank you, Splattercat. Played through the first 20, 30 minutes as he does on his channel. That's what he does on his games. The problem is then the game was so good, the demo copy he was given, that he played it for 6 hours and came back in the last 5 minutes of video to tell us, the audience, like what that game had in store. And he was absolutely in love. This game is, again, kind of like 1 part kind of Firewatchy, 1 part Subnautica, 1 part Stalker. From what I gathered after the initial opening, where you're driving by this exclusion zone and some hinky shit goes on and you get sucked into it, your car becomes this paranormal entity and you get on the radio with some of the survivors in the exclusion zone. You then go on these almost quasi-roguelike missions where you are driving around trying to upgrade your car and get it more secure to try to get to a safer location and further the story. But the terrain itself is morphing around you in an eldritch fashion. So you have a limited amount of time in these shifting Cronenberg-esque zones, very Simon Stålenhag, Tales from the Loop, that style of art, as you progress in what is a true to the name survival genre game, but it's coded as you and your Knight Rider, you and your kit, which again is very Echo One Ghostbusters. It's a wood paneled station wagon, and you'll run around salvaging other cars, siphoning gas, dodging paranormal entities, finding ways to deal with the things you encounter, and it's a very thriller, spooky, one of those games where you're like, not so much jumping in horror, but you're like, oh God, oh no, oh, what is that? What is going on? Right. And I love that type of horror game where it's just tension, right?
Yeah.
But it's also got kind of like I wouldn't call it comedic or comic-like, but it's not heavy. It's not Alan Wake. So yeah, somewhere between maybe Alan Wake and Firewatch. It's not quite Amnesia. But
it's not horror, it's excitement.
Yeah, it's
right?
a thriller,
yeah.
right? And it's polished. Oh my God, is it polished? I watch and play a lot of indie games, and it's clear that this game, which I believe is being created by Ironwood Studios, I'll have to look up what they've done before, is well on its way to becoming an absolute banger. This is probably going to take Twitch by storm. It's going to be a big deal. And I believe this is Ironwood's first actual game. Could be wrong, but that's what their website says. So yeah, look it up. Pacific Drive. Again, we're watching Splattercat Gaming's video on it. He's got a good, again, 20, 30-minute video showing you the intro of the game and what you can expect when you play the game. And I'm loving it. So very excited for that. That is next on my wish list to play.
Yeah, I think we've all been looking forward to this game, a little bit, right, based on the trailers that we've seen. But now that we're actually getting some real gameplay, this is very exciting to me because I think this got my number 1 on God, what was it? Next Fest or something. I chose this as my number 1 for one of the indie game shows that we were watching. And that's because, it tickled my fancy. It's in the Pacific Northwest. We live in the Pacific Northwest.
Olympia, Washington, I believe.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
And then we were literally seeing what looked like Stalker. It's like Stalker in a car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that really plays to the genres that I enjoy. And it's
very
looking
Daisy.
Oh yeah. And the interesting thing about the trailers is it's like these trailers are obviously holding back. They're not showing us anything that's going to be relatively important in the game at some point. They're just showing us what the atmosphere feels like and what, a little bit of what gameplay is to be expected and very little else.
Yeah.
And to see that they were just holding back and that wasn't all they had to show is really nice to see. Again, they made great trailers. They intrigued me without spoiling the game for me. And now they're delivering on the product that they promised. And it's 100%. It's like top of my wish list now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Looking very forward to it. Well, Josh, you got another thing for us?
I do have another thing. Now, just this week, Sag-Aftra signed a little bit of a deal in the video game area here. Now, they signed a deal with Relic Studios yesterday or Tuesday of this week at CES in Las Vegas. Now, CES is Consumer Electronics
Expo.
Show. There it is.
Nope, it's Expo. I've decided.
Espo.
See. Replica Studios launched its AI platform in 2019. The company sells AI voices to video game developers from its library of ethically licensed voices. So what this means is that you're going to be able to sign up, and AI is going to be able to replicate using AI things to replicate your voice, and then there's apparently deals and other happy things going on, says Sag-Aftra, and they talked to everybody about it. Again, said Sag-Aftra. It's only this one company. The debate over AI is still very much largely happening in the video games industry right now, what it's being used for and all that stuff. So this is really only for this one company. Now, Ireland Crabtree, he is the spokesperson for SAG-AFTRA, said this is an evolutionary step forward. AI technology is not something we can block. It's not something we can stop. That's not a tactic or strategy that has ever worked for labor in the past. Now, so like I said, this deal only pertains to this one company, but there's a lot of SAG-AFTRA members in the video game industry who are not happy about this. One example is a tweet or whatever you call an X now, I guess.
No, they're tweets.
They're tweets from Steve Bloom. Excuse me? With all due respect, you state in the article approved by affected members of the union's voiceover performer community. Nobody in our community has approved this that I know of. Games are the bulk of my livelihood and have been for decades. Who are you referring to? So it seems that at least a few members are left in the dark with this.
There's no flyer release.
Yeah, there's no flyer release. This is all a little hinky, it's seeming. SAG-AFTRA has made a couple of good deals, but there's been some pull back and forth with some of these big companies here. I don't know. With all the layoffs happening in the video game industry, a strong union is more important than ever in the video game industry, and it kind of sucks to see them, I think, taking one on the chin here for seemingly no purpose. But
I was talking to my brother about this today.
The fight continues, I guess.
In a very similar space. A couple of big YouTubers have released videos recently on their efforts to curtail the AI-generated slop trollop short form channels that just steal people's content, use AI voices and imagery to make like pseudoscience videos or storm chasing videos or whatever, right? There's thousands of them, and they make tens of thousands of videos, get millions of views. And there's some real progress being made in like firing federal lawsuits to get those channels taken down. But when you combine this with shit like the SAG-AFTRA and the artists having their stuff copied, this is all a losing battle, in my opinion, until the government steps in and gets their shit together and makes some actual black and white laws about what AI is going to be allowed to do and what it cannot do. And until that happens, every single creative person is just going to continue to lose slowly. It's going to get chipped away at because we cannot compete with the quantity, because it takes 10 times as much effort and time to refute bullshit as it does to create it. And AI generated creative content is almost entirely bullshit, right? It is low quality, easily produced, next to zero effort. And we cannot handle the legion of content that is going to be coming down until the government steps in.
Yep.
That's my opinion on that.
No, I agree. And we're already seeing AI is going to enter this industry.
It is.
Unless there is actual curtailing of it.
It's there now.
Yeah, it already is. So did you guys know that the finals uses AI voices?
No, I do
The final,
now.
yeah. So the announcers they do use some pre-recorded performances, but the voices use training data from actual actors who have been paid for their performance, but the AI just allows them to create voice samples that aren't pre-recorded. So based on the recordings that they have from these actors that have been paid for, they now in the future have the ability to use those same actors' voices through AI training
Without paying them
additional money. Yeah. Now, the studio does say that they paid way above the regular rate of pay for these voice actors. But for how long? I mean, if the finals ends up being like a big, streaming game for the next like 4 or 5 years, like a Valorant or a Fortnite, like how often are they going to be using these AI voices, and have those actors actually been compensated accurately?
Unless 2 zeros got tacked on, I don't think they got accurately compensated.
Probably not, right?
Because a lot of times, I mean, voice. Maybe it might be a little bit different for voice actors, but narrators are generally paid by the word, right? Paid by
the hour.
Paid by the hour. Finished hour, right? So, and I imagine it's got to be something similar for voice actors. So, if they're getting finished hours worth of work without paying for
hundreds and hundreds of dollars an hour,
without paying for it because the AI can just generate it, well, that doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, but it's not against the law.
But it's not against the law. So
tough shit.
Yep.
Sorry. It's awful for everyone.
Yep.
And until we get actual lich like Mitch McConnell and those types of people out of government.
Real life lich Mitch McConnell.
Like the kind of people who are not going to be able to handle the oncoming AI deluge of content, this is all just fucked.
Yeah.
So strap in, find people who are willing to pay you for your work. Do not buy consumer products that use AI generated creative art and music and songs and things, because
like
you
Magic
just
the Gathering.
Part of the problem. Oh my god, yeah, I was reading about that. Wizard fucking Hasbro cannot stop failing. Real quick, they said they put out like they took their time to be like, we're not going to use AI art. That's not us, right? And then like some short time later, they put out promo art for like a new Magic the Gathering thing.
They were like, "This is clearly AI art."
Yeah, just like a pressure gauge in it, and like the dots on the fucking gauge just start like warbling out, and then there's
chords
like,
to nowhere.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, it wasn't AI art. It was someone made the art, and then we use like Photoshop AI to touch it up." And I was like, "Touch it up with what? Like
with
a baked ham?"
Like,
Oh man.
So now we will be talking more about AI in the future, obviously. I actually already have an article for next week that I'd like to discuss involving Valve this time and the use of AI.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, so that just came out today, and that was kind of as we were getting started for the podcast. So I need to look more into it before I speak on it. But I think we'll be talking about that probably at pretty good length next week. So
I think the next step before the government steps in, which is going to take another 5 to 10 years, is for the collective, whatever genre you're in, games, media, music, songs, voiceover, find a way to do an open source AI engine. Be like, okay, so as opposed to people just stealing voice actors or artists, let us all pay a group of people an amount of money for them to seed a new AI with ethically sourced content that then people can license and use like concern free. Every piece of data that was put into this neural network, into this AI to generate the stuff you're getting was made with consent. right?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen before we get any kind of federal or international regulation.
And we already do something similar to that extent. You know, there are assets available, public license for games and stuff like that. So
yeah, we have a template for it easy with all the stuff we've done before.
Definitely.
So I think that's going to happen.
I hope so.
The problem is that if people don't use those open source things, then they don't have a selling point over the commercial products, which are going to be cheaper, which are going to be flashier.
Yeah.
That more people are going to use because they don't give a shit.
Right.
Yep.
People don't give a shit. That's the problem.
That is the problem, unfortunately. Like we talk about whatever, something with your wallet. Speaking with your wallet.
Yep.
The saying.
Voting with your wallet. Yep.
Yeah. And we don't do that. I mean, it's clear that the gamers at large do not uphold their own standards to the gaming industry. Simple as that. You know, you vote with your wallet every time you buy a game. When you're giving these companies money, you are saying that their practices are okay. So when you buy the new Call of Duty, when you buy Overwatch 2,
every time you pay for a battle pass,
right? Then you are saying this is okay. I'm okay with this. Continue doing it. That every purchase of a game that has upholds those kinds of practices, you are giving them license to continue with doing the thing that you dislike. Simple as that. And it's a conversation, especially last week, we had this conversation in depth. And it's a conversation we'll continue to have because it's an important one.
Yep.
Like, we as gamers, now probably us less so than others, but we as gamers, I will use the royal we, are completely responsible for allowing this to happen. We bought the DLC. We bought the maps. We bought horse armor.
We bought the horse armor.
The moment we bought the horse armor, we said, it's A-okay, this is fine by us. And sure, it started out small. It was just cosmetics. Well, then we became okay with just cosmetics. Well, it's just loot boxes. And then we became okay with loot boxes. And then it's just the battle pass with loot boxes. And then we pined for the day where it was as simple as loot boxes. So
we got dick thumbed by Todd Howard.
So let's get real here. We as gamers are saying that these practices are okay. Stop it. Stop pre-ordering games. Stop buying DLC. The moment that they don't make money from these practices goes to the moment where they just get back to making good games or just games. Video games should be able to hold up on their own.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Anyways, tirade over. Sorry about that.
Dude,
are you?
You
don't seem sorry.
Anytime.
No, you know what? Yeah, I'm not sorry about that. I'm sorry to go so full anger mode, but straight up, man, like it's really been on my mind, especially after last week. Alana Pierce having said it so fucking eloquently. I'm going to say it violently, and just a reminder here that if you buy a game that sucks and you know that it sucks, but you're buying it because it sucks, you're saying it's okay to make shitty games. If you're buying games that have DLC that you find goes against your own ethics, then you're at fault for continuing that. Like, just straight up, like, every one of us has to take onus of this. I bought Apex skins. I am, it was only a few, right? But that's all it took. I have now consumed the thing I hate.
Hi, Andy.
So, anywhoozle, I got one more thing for us before we go this evening, and I would like to talk a little bit more about hardware. This time, it's semi-good news.
Numbers, Cleo.
Oh my God, there's so many numbers. So, I know saying things like ROG Ally, Lenovo Legion Go, and the Claw can get, it can scrabble your brain, but let me throw a lot of numbers at you. So, as we discussed earlier, we had CES in the last few days that just wrapped up, and NVIDIA had their big graphics card announcement. Now, here's the bad, okay? It's now been just blatantly confirmed by NVIDIA that they absolutely could have been charging significantly less money for the cards they put out last round.
Oops.
By the fact that they are putting out cards that surpass the quality and surpass the performance of the last round of cards, and they're charging less. So there's a little bit of good news sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
Now, what they did announce was we are getting the Super Series. This is something they did during the 2000 series of gaming graphics cards from NVIDIA. I own one. I have a 2080 Super. I think it was a good price point between the 2070 and the 2080 Ti, and met my budget, met my criteria for being like a good, solid, high-end graphics card, and it's met my needs all the way up until now. There still isn't a game that I can't play. Sure, I might have to bring it down from godlike settings into high, but it has lasted so far. And while it is getting a little bit old, and I'm actually worried about, like I have been running this graphics card for the last 6 years, it's held up so far and it's done a great job. Now, that said, the 4000 series has also done a really great job. Where the 3000 series was a huge jump in performance from the 2000 series, the 4000 series really kind of just tidied it up. So the 4000 series isn't as big of a jump from the 3000 series as it had been from the 2 to 3000 series, but massively more efficient, still more powerful and more performant than the previous versions. But now we're getting a few new SKUs, which bring down some of the pricing. They announced this week that they will be putting out a 4070 Super for $600, which is the MSRP of the old 4070, bringing down the 4070 to maybe even down to as little as $549. We have yet to see how it's going to impact the graphics cards that are out on the market right now, but by the nature of these cards, they should bring down prices just a little bit. They also announced on top of the 4070 Super, the unfortunately named 4070 Ti Super, because NVIDIA couldn't help themselves and put out a 4070 Ti early. So we have the 4070, the 4070 Super newly announced, the 4070 Ti, and the 4070 Ti Super just announced. The 4070 Ti Super comes in at $800 and is going to be more performant than the 4070 Ti, not only in clock speed, but in speed and bandwidth of the RAM. The one that I'm really excited for is going to be the 4080 Super. The 4080 Super is said to be about 15% more performant than the 4080, but it comes in at $200 less MSRP than the current 4080 does. So instead of a $1,200 price point, we are just looking at $999, which I know when I say that sounds fucking insane, but that's where we are in the graphics card market at the moment. This is, I think the 4080 Super is going to be pretty impactful. A lot of people have been waiting to upgrade through this series because they've been just too damn expensive. The MSRP of the original 4080 was $1,200, where in previous versions of the 80 series, they've been in the range of like $600 to $900. $900, yeah, and it creeped over the last two generations. Now, of course, the 3000 series came out during crypto winter, and the 4000 series came out at the height of the crypto winter. Yeah. So, I think we actively saw price gouging from NVIDIA. This is them bringing it back a little bit and getting back, probably not where it needs to be in pricing, but we are seeing reduced pricing at the very least. It seems NVIDIA has acknowledged that the pricing SKUs on these has been too much. And not only are they doing a little bit of course correction, they're also giving you an improved product for less money. So at least there is that. The unfortunate thing is it just goes to show that for the last 2 years, we have been massively overpaying for graphics cards. The chip inside the 4080 Super is the exact same chip that is in the 4080. Except for it has slightly better RT handling components. So it will
and it's cheaper.
And it's cheaper, right? So it will do ray tracing better than the 4080 launched at doing, and it will be $200 cheaper.
Sounds like my next build's going to have an AMD card. I'm just kidding.
The a lot of companies just took
I know it's just exactly
pandemic.
Yeah,
and that's prices because they could,
and that's exactly it. We got gouged during the pandemic at the height of crypto winter, so. We are seeing, fortunately, this is an industry that is deflating their prices down a little bit to still not pre-COVID, still not pre-crypto, but bringing them down a little bit. They're absolutely dick-thumbing us. But fortunately, for me, $1,000 is a little bit more attainable than $1,200. Yeah. So at least there's
a penny saved is a penny earned.
That's right. Now you can still expect the 4090 to be nowhere near MSRP, being that's the best AI card in the world to use consumer side. So that's still up in the $2,200+ category. Enjoy yourselves there. But yeah, a little bit of good news. I mean, I'm going to throw some shade at NVIDIA because they deserve it. The titans that they are, they do control the pricing of the market. And unfortunately, they've been able to keep AMD in that same kind of swing. AMD, while they could have probably sold their cards for less money, didn't.
Yeah, it made more money.
Yeah, 100%. These
what
companies,
are you going to do? Not buy a new graphics card?
Right, exactly. So, yeah, unfortunately, we've been gouged for far too long, but it does look like there are price corrections coming, and this is the first sign. So, at least there's a little bit of good news there. And, you know, if you have been waiting, if you've got a 2000 series, you know, a 2080 Super like I do, now it might actually be time to upgrade for a little bit more reasonable price than it had been previously. So, yep, a little bit of good with the bad, but overall, I think a price correction is a positive thing as much as it just goes to show that they suck. NVIDIA, that is. It means savings for you, fortunately. That being said, I think that's all we've got for this evening.
Yep, I think so.
I could always go for more, but you know what happens when we get too greedy. I don't know.